Hi there and welcome back to Artisan Upholstery Studio. My name is Amy and I run a small upholstery business out of my home in Nova Scotia, Canada. So get a notepad handy because today I am going to tell you everything that I have learned about working with velvet for the past 25 years. You're going to want to take notes. So what is it about velvet that makes it so popular? Why is velvet always in style? Well, velvet is a soft and luxurious fabric that has the ability to give your furniture a high drama, very glamorous look. So on an older piece like this that has the interesting details, this velvet is giving it a lot of drama, a lot of tonal changes, and it just highlights all the lovely details that are on this piece. A flat woven fabric just wouldn't have the same kind of appeal. So that said, there are much more casual velvet options that don't show that shading as dramatically and don't show the marks when you touch it and are stain and spill resistant. So these are the ones you'd probably be working with in the average contemporary setting. But today we are going to discuss the harder to work with, more dramatic, more glamorous, high marking velvet that you need to be very careful with. Now, I'd love to be able to tell you that there are simple rules when you're working with velvet. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. There are general guidelines that you can follow, but honestly, every piece of furniture is different and every velvet has different attributes which will make it more difficult or easier to work with. And you have to test and you have to lay the pieces on your furniture and you have to have the ability to see if it looks right or if it looks wrong. As you can see behind me, I've been working on an older sofa, which has some really cool details. I've had to make some painstaking decisions to get to this point. I'm happy with how it's turning out. And as you can see, this arm and this arm are shaded differently. I normally wouldn't do that, but this is the decision that I had to make on this one because it looked correct at the front where it met up with the seat edge. So you have to make those decisions on your specific piece. There are no rules. Normally I would turn this one so that it looked dark like the rest, but I think that it generally looks good as a transitional piece. The light changes in the different directions that you're looking at it. It's like when you're working with velvet, it has a life of its own. It really does have a mood in every different direction. And that's the beauty of velvet. So I want to talk a little bit about working with velvet and the different things that you have to consider when you're working with it. And to do that, you might notice that the video jumps around in time a little bit. I was taking videos as I was upholstering, so bear with me as it jumps around a little bit. I'm not a video editor, I'm an upholsterer. So you're going to start with the assumption that the velvet would run pile down, meaning that it would be smooth when you're petting it like a dog. On this piece, I found that the color was too washed out, and so I turned it to the side, and so you can see that my nap is running to the side instead of up and down. Now with velvet, there's always a main nap and a secondary nap. The main nap runs up and down, the secondary nap runs side to side. So this still does have its secondary nap going in the down direction. Another consideration with velvet is that it does bruise when you're working with it. If you gouge it with a tool, you could have a permanent mark that you don't want to be there. So when you're working to tighten up fabric and you know it's going to show, be absolutely careful about where your tools are going so that you don't press up into here where you're going to see the mark. So you can see how the tool does create some marks when I rub it on the velvet. Steam is a way that you could get those out, especially with this one because it is a steamable velvet. Not all velvets are steamable though, so just be extra careful. So in this instance, I would always use my finger to protect the wood and never pull the tool up to bruise the top fabric that we will see. So I have the arm laid out how I am going to upholster it. And as you can see, it does all match correctly from the front view. It doesn't look exactly right when you're looking at it from the side. It looks lighter than the rest of the sofa, but really looking at it from the front is the most important thing. And of course, having the front match the seat edge is the most important thing. Another big consideration is the outside of the piece. You don't automatically want to assume that if the pile is going down on the front, that you want it to go down on the sides. You have to lay it on there and look at it from all directions and make that decision based on that piece and that fabric, not on what you did last week. You want to always check to see if it looks good. And it helps to check in different light too. So I laid this on last night when I just had the lights on in here. And now I'm looking at it in the daylight. It still looks fine in this direction. This is the direction I'm going to lay it. So let me show you what it would look like if I had it in the other direction. So I've laid this outside piece on in the wrong direction. It's technically the correct direction where this is the top of the piece as it was cut here. So this piece is going around this way, this piece is going down here. That's normally how we would cut fabric. However, you can see that this should really be running up and then go and continue down like that, which would be the opposite direction of this. So you can see that this is darker than the seat edge, this is darker than the arm, it's darker than the flutes. It just doesn't look right. So flipping it is the correct thing to do in this situation. So as you can see here, the front of the arm, where it meets the outside arm, is a little different in its shading. It's a small concession to make for the general look of the sofa, which is correct. So you have to make these decisions as you go. Now the outside back and the outside arm are run in the same direction. However, the light hits them at different angles, so they do appear to be slightly different colors. And that is another concession that I made, because from the opposite angle, had I changed the direction of the outside back, it's a completely different color. So you have to make sure you look at it from all sides before you make the decision to put it on. When you're closing up your pieces on your outsides, it does make sense not to use metal tack strips, because those require a lot of banging on the material in order to get it closed, and that is going to scar the velvet permanently. You won't be able to steam that out. So you can either use ply grip and just gently pry it closed, or you can hand stitch it, which is what I'm doing. I'm finally at the stage where I can hot glue my double piping trim on, and I'm going to make sure that the piping is going in the same direction as the seat edge, obviously. Otherwise, it'll be a completely different color. Now, when you're using hot glue with velvet, it's a very good idea to use just the tiniest amount to hold it on. If you put too much and it comes up the top and gets all over your fabric, especially with a dark color like this, it is going to make a mess. Now, if it does happen that you get hot glue on the main part of the sofa that you can see and you can't cover it up, there is a way that you can get rid of that mess. It might make the main part of the piping come unglued, and you'll have a hard time re-gluing it because it'll be slippery on the fabric, but hopefully you won't make too much of a mess and you won't have to redo the whole thing. The trick is to use super silicone and spray it on the hot glue, and it should just crumble right off. But like I said, it will crumble off in such a way that wherever the silicone touches, it will make the glue ineffective in sticking that double piping trim on. I am almost finished this sofa, and I now have 3 cushions to sew. If you want to see how I do that, you can watch my video, which will be coming up after this one, on how to sew a box cushion in velvet. Thank you so much for watching.